Hello, this is Stampy, and welcome to a bit of a strange video of the type I've not done before. What this video basically is me going in depth about the menus that are currently in the beta of the Bedrock engine version of Minecraft on Xbox. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about kind of the general menus, but mainly focusing on the crafting and creative menus, which is of course one of the most important things of Minecraft, and basically giving some feedback about how I think they might be improved to better fit the use with a controller and kind of more fit the way that I use them when I'm playing Minecraft. So of course this is once again talking about the beta. None of the menus are necessarily final for how it's going to be in the game. But yeah, I got lots of really good feedback from the last video that I did where I kind of talk about everything as a whole. It was an hour-long Let's Talk, and I was surprised at how many people watched through to the end. I could actually see the stats for exactly how long people watched for, and a lot of people watched the entire thing. And even though it was very long, I didn't go very in-depth over any of my particular points, and there's just a whole load of stuff that I just didn't talk about at all. So I could do a bunch of these follow-up videos. I don't know if I will. I guess I'll see whether anyone actually enjoys these. And I got some great feedback also from some of the developers of the game saying that they found that video useful. So yeah, I thought I might as well do this, but be warned, this is a video with me talking quite a lot about the menus on the beta of a video game. So if that doesn't sound like the thing you want to spend the next few minutes watching, then maybe this video isn't for you. So please don't comment saying boring, why are you doing this? Because yeah, this is a bit of a weird niche video, which is why it's on the second channel. But I know some people like me are kind of interested in this stuff. So yeah, let's get started. So this is the main menu. Of course, it's pretty simple, I guess. But one of the big problems, and this is going to be a recurring problem, is the fact that it doesn't seem to be designed for use with a D-pad, which is generally the way you'd move around with a controller. For example, if I keep pressing down, you see I'm on play, I press down, I go to achievements, press down, I go to settings, I press down again, then I go to this little question mark down here, then I press down again, I go back to play. And so that's kind of the way you go. And if you go up, it does different. If you go up, it only goes between settings, achievements, and play. So basically, having the buttons side by side like this isn't a good way to navigate menus. It means that, say if I want to go and change my skin, I have to kind of press like either to the right here or kind of go down to the right. And it means that you're never exactly sure where you're going to be going to when you actually press the button. So it just doesn't make sense. You know, with a cursor or with a touchscreen, you know, you can just touch wherever you want. The menus should just be in a line. Just have a line of options. Either just add another option that says kind of change skin or customize character or whatever you want to say, and add that underneath here. Put the store and settings. Just put them in line. Just put them down in a row. There's no reason for them to be side by side. And these little menus down here, I don't think they're even going to be staying. I think they might just be here for the beta. So yeah, let's just not really focus on them. But yeah, that just needs to be a very simple change that needs to be done. Then we have the play menu. When we press play, we bring this up, and this is perfect. I can't really think of any suggestions. It's great having your friends that you can just join. You have the servers down here, and then as I mentioned in the last video I did, the sync old worlds options is perfect. It's literally as easy as it could be. Of course, with the beta, a lot of worlds aren't working in this new version. It just crashes the game. I'm assuming that's going to be fixed. This might actually be another good time to mention something that's also going to come up a lot throughout the different menus, and that's scrolling. So as you can see, I can scroll up and down like this. I can either scroll like that, where I'm actually scrolling through the different worlds, or I can use the right analog stick and scroll like this. Scrolling doesn't really work very well for consoles. It works well on touchscreen, once again with a cursor, with a scroll wheel. What would be better is kind of like a skip page option. So say this is page 1, you push down on the right analog stick, and it will skip all the way down to here, and then there's the next option. It's just way quicker and easier rather than kind of slowly scrolling through like this. So that doesn't matter so much here because you're not going to be using this menu too much probably, but it will come into play a lot more later on. So let's go and load up a game. And then we will go and look through kind of some of the different pause menus and some of the game settings and stuff. And yeah, I can talk a little bit more about those things and kind of some of the ways I think that should be improved. Okay then, so I've just loaded up a old version of my lovely world. I'm just going to use this area to kind of demonstrate everything. So yeah, let's pick up the pause menu. So once again, with the pause menu, we have the same problem where we have a row of stuff down here, and then over here we have invite game. But first you kind of have to kind of go through like the change skin menu, and it means that like if I keep pressing down, I never know exactly where I'm going to go. So it's weird. Look, if I'm here, I keep pressing down, I then go to there and then here, and then I get kind of stuck between these two. It's a mess. It doesn't work with a D-pad, and no one's going to be really using an analog stick. It doesn't even work well with an analog stick, and it means that sometimes if I pause the game, like I might press down to go to settings, but I realize I'm up here, and now I got to like keep pressing to the left to go to these settings. Like instinctively, I'll press start and start pressing to go down, but I'm stuck on these these menus on the right, you can see where I'm scrolling and I'd have to go to the left. It's not the biggest deal in the world. You can do it, but it's just not fast and it's not intuitive, and there's no real reason for it to be arranged in that way. So I think just put them all in a row makes a lot more sense. And something else is that you can't go fast with the D-pad. So you either use the analog stick and you can kind of scroll like that and go fast, but it's a bit inaccurate with an analog stick. If you use the D-pad, you have to keep pressing. You have to go down, 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 down. Once again, it matters more when you're at a menu with more options. For example, if I go to like the game settings, see down here, if I'm pressing down, I'm like down, 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 down. It would be much easier if I could just hold the D-pad to make it scroll quicker. Would seem to be an easy thing. But yeah, let's go and talk about the game settings. So game settings is in a bit of a weird place. There's some other settings that aren't in the host options, but it seems to be mainly where you'd go to do the host options that you're used to on console. Things like changing the weather, the day, the day, just kind of all of those settings, fire spread off, TNT explosions, all of those things are now there. And the problem is with the host options is you would press two buttons. You would press back if you're on Xbox, and then you would just press host options, and then you have it all right there. Here, I have to press start. I'm over at invite games, so I have to go over to the left and then down into settings, and then I go into game options, and then I can scroll down, and then they put them down at the bottom down here. There's like a bunch of extra stuff up here. So changing the game mode's quite important. There's a message at the top saying that I can't get achievements, the name of the world, and then there's things like the starting map and bonus chest options are there. I mean, I'm already in the world at this point. Like, those options don't need to be there. And then like all of this information with like the seed and like the world type, that's all on top of all of these menus. I mean, even though some of them aren't applicable, if you really need to have them there and have it kind of consistent with what you would have on the main menu or something, put them down at the bottom. This is the stuff that we're going to be using. So in my mind, there's kind of two different types of menus. There's menus where you're kind of doing settings maybe before you play or just occasionally changing. And then there's things that I kind of consider active settings that you might be using while you're playing. Basically part of the gameplay. For example, changing it between day and night might be something if you're building a map and you're testing something. Maybe you've got a daylight sensor and you want to be able to test it. You want to be turning it on and off. Maybe, you're testing something with redstone and you don't want TNT to blow up. Basically, these things you might be changing while you're playing, and so you want really quick access to them. And the fact that I'm going and pressing start and then going across and then going down and then going to game settings and then scrolling down here, it doesn't seem like much, but if it's something that you're doing all of the time, I think it should be really quick. There's also some options missing, like I said about in my other video. Like, you can't just immediately set it to nighttime. Like, you can set it to be always day, and you can like choose whether you want the daylight cycle on or off, but you can't just change it to be nighttime. And I know that what has happened is the developers have assumed, when you're building, you might want it to be always day. You don't want it to get dark. We'll have that as an option. But in the other way, people might want it to be nighttime. Maybe you're going to light up a build and you want to set it to night to see how many torches you need to add. There's loads of reasons why you'll do that. So yeah, I think it'd be great to add those other options in. And then also the options where you're like teleporting players and stuff, they're just completely separate. So if I have to kind of go back and then back again, and then all of the other players would be over here on the far right side of the screen. And I haven't actually really had too many other people in the game, but I'm assuming that is how you'd set everyone else's permissions and kind of whether they can open doors and open chests and stuff. And it just feels like having them in the same place would make a lot of sense. So I think there needs to be a quicker way to access those menus if you are going to keep it kind of a few menus deep down here. I mean, it's good that they got the game options at the top, but at least just put these things at the top and just make it quicker to go and do all of that stuff, because I consider those menus to be part of the gameplay, rather than something like setting the brightness of your game, which you're probably going to do once and then never worry about again. And yes, I did see the llamas down there. It's kind of hard not to notice them. Right then, let's move on then. So underneath the game options, we have the multiplayer options. I can't see any problems with that there. So, yep, it's good that you can kind of change some of these settings in-game, which you can, I don't believe, do on the console edition. The resource packs and behavior packs. I don't know why these are here given priority over everything else down here, like the video and audio settings, because you can't even do anything when you're in the game. You can't even change them. And I don't know, maybe it doesn't make sense to take them out of the menu completely. Maybe they want the menus to be completely the same. So if you do have to have these in the menu, menu, even though you can't use them when you're in a game, like have them right down at the very bottom, because you can't use them at all anyway. Like put them right down at the bottom. Over here we have the controls. So we of course have the keyboard and mouse controls, which I didn't even really know that you could use on console. So I'm assuming that you can, otherwise they wouldn't have the options here. So it's cool that they're here. I think that once again, the priority should be put to controller. I think that it'd be hard to argue that more people are going to be playing with a keyboard and mouse on console than with a controller. So once again, put the controller at the top. It's great that you can have all of the custom controller layout just like you can in the console edition. I'm really glad they brought that out. It means that, you know, as soon as I went in, I just changed the settings to how they were on the old console versions, which means that I don't have to worry about switching between. There are a few settings missing, like some of the spectator settings and stuff, but I think that's because they don't have mini games, and I think that the way spectator works could be different on every server, so it's hard to unify that stuff. Then underneath that we have yeah, a couple more things that aren't really applicable. I don't think anyone's going to be doing anything with their profile during the game. I don't know, this option may not even really be properly here because this saying to go to like the feedback website and stuff. So this once again feels like a very low priority thing. Put that down at the bottom. Global resources, again, once again, you can't change that in the games, and put that down to the bottom. And then other settings in the video settings are things that I would once again like consider to be active settings. So things like hiding your HUD and also like turning your hand off is something that I'm doing all of the time. Like every time I go to take a thumbnail when I'm doing a video, I need to go and turn like my HUD off and turn the hand off as well, which is down here, just so I can get a screenshot. And it's not just me, of course, I'm taking screenshots for video, so I'm probably doing it a lot more than a lot of people, but a lot of people are doing that, and a lot of people want to kind of have this clean view. You know, even if you're just showing a friend, like, hey, look at my build, you kind of just want a nice clean view to be able to show it. So I think the fact that those menus are kind of so hidden all the way down there and not next to each other. I bet loads of people, when they're turning their HUD off, they're going to be turning their hand off as well. Like, why aren't they just next to each other in the menu? So as you can see, say if I want to go and turn them on, I got to go across to settings. I'm going to struggle with that. And then I go down to video. I mean, I was already on video because I was there a second ago, but normally I would have been up at the top here and then had to have scrolled all the way down like that, gone to video and then done it here, compared to on the console edition where I can do that super duper fast. Of course, I've done it a million times on console edition, so I know exactly where it is, but there's no way that you could do it faster on this version compared to the other one. So that should definitely be a higher priority. There's also things like the fact that I can't fade away my hotbar. I can do it so the whole thing is more transparent, but I can't do it so I do it on console so that it goes more transparent or completely disappears, and then when I go to switch through, it comes back. That's much more of a gameplay thing, and I'm not focusing too much on gameplay stuff in this video, but that's something else that would be great to add in. So yeah, they're the big changes for there. And then the only other thing really in the settings here are the audio settings, and pretty much what you'd expect. I think this should be kind of higher up in priority over some of the other things, because sound can be an active setting, whether you're turning the music up and down, and that for someone like me, that's something I do quite regularly, so I think it'd be good to have some more priority. And then there's just, once again, a few options missing, like the ability to turn off the sound of minecarts and then cave sounds as well. Not a big deal. For some people, it's a bigger deal than others. I'm pretty sure 4J only added the option to turn off the sound of minecarts for Neuropsych, who makes all of the crazy Minecraft roller coasters. So I'm pretty sure they just added that setting in for him, and I know that he definitely prefers the way that minecarts work in the console edition. So yeah, maybe that setting doesn't matter too much, because I think it is basically added to the game for just a single person. Right then, so they're the main menus. I mean, there's not too much to say about them. I think that they should be rearranged. The main big thing is that I want to kind of press like, you know, one button or like two buttons that I can do, you know, really fast like this on the console edition to be able to get to all of those host options, because that's something that I'm doing, you know, almost every single time that I'm playing the game. So I want quick access to them. But now let's get to some of the more interesting stuff. Let's get to the creative and the crafting menu. So the first thing you'll notice is that when you press X, you bring up this menu, and then when you press Y, you bring up the exact same menu. It's kind of the same. They haven't separated out your inventory compared to your creative menu like they have in the console editions, and there's kind of upsides and downsides to that. The first thing I will say for the creative menu is they need to give you access to the current console edition crafting and creative menus. So I get why they haven't added that. Well, there's probably a few reasons. One, it's probably a lot of work to go and add that in. And also, you know, they're trying to unify all of the versions. They don't want it so that they have these two different versions. They would rather people get used to the new version, and then that's going to be the one they're going to be using across Windows 10 and Pocket Edition. I get why they just want people to, you know, to get used to the new version and then eventually just stick to that. The problem with that is that, I mean, I don't know if that is their motivation, but that seems like what would make sense. But the issue with that is that there are still a bunch of platforms, ones that are going to be supported going forward as well, that are only going to have the console crafting. You know, the PlayStation 4, of course, is the big one, but also the Wii U, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation Vita. I think that's it. Am I missing any? No, I think that might be all of them. So all of them are still going to have the old console crafting menus, and a lot of people are going to be switching between them. Maybe they have, you know, the PlayStation Vita that they use when they're traveling, but then they're going to use Xbox One at home, or, you know, maybe they're going to play on the console edition on Xbox One to do the mini games, and then switch to have infinite worlds or play on servers when they're playing on this version. So there's going to be a lot of cases where people are going to be kind of constantly switching between these two different versions. You know, there's even people like me that are going to be, you know, recording on the PlayStation 4 and then maybe doing some videos on here like this. And so the issue is that they're going to have to be completely switching between the two different versions, and that's where the problem lies. You know, for example, for me, I play Halo 5, and when I play Halo 5, I don't play with the settings which are best for Halo 5. And you might think, why not? The reason for that is because I switch between a bunch of different Halo games, so I play with the best controller layout, which is decent for all of them, just so I don't have to keep switching and I'm not pressing the wrong button. And so I think the same thing kind of applies here, where if I'm going to be continually switching between the console editions and this Bedrock Engine version, I want to have the same menus and the same crafting and creative menus on both versions, because otherwise I'm going to be constantly getting used to one and then switching to the other, and it's just going to be a bit of a mess. So I think for that reason, also the other reason that some people might just outright prefer the other version, which I think is very understandable as well, I think they have to have an option to have the old crafting menu, and that has to be in at launch. That's one of the important things that has to be in the game when the game launches. So with that, I think there is a lot of potential in these new menus, and I think there's actually some stuff that I'll talk about later on, which I think should be added to the old console versions, just to improve that further, to make one mixed version that's really good. So yeah, let's go into this a little bit then. So the first thing you can see is that we have our whole inventory here, which is actually bigger than the actual menu where we're grabbing all of the blocks and stuff. And there's only 4 tabs, really. So we got construction, we have equipment, we have items, and we have nature. And I think those tabs are fine. I think the way they're split up is pretty decent. I think I'd probably have blocks or some other description for here, or maybe still call it construction and maybe include these blocks in there. I think it's a little bit weird having just these few blocks here. I get it, they fit in with the nature tab, but I think if you're thinking, right, let's have all of my building blocks here, you might be thinking, oh, where's dirt, where's stone? And it's like, okay, there's some stone stuff here, but then, you know, the other stones over here. That's kind of the one big change I would make in terms of the tabs if they're kind of staying the way that there are. There is also an option here where you have all. I can't really see many times when you'll use this, unless you're looking for a block and you literally can't find it anywhere. This is another big place where it suffers from the problem that you're scrolling rather than skipping pages, just makes this way, way, way slower. No one's going to be using that option. And then another option, which I assume no one's going to be using or no one should be using, is the search option. The ability to... Okay, let me just point out another problem with why I'm going all over the place here. As you can see, it's not easy to navigate the menu. They got rid of a cursor. They got rid of the cursor as well, which is another issue, which means I'm trying to get up to that search option up now, and I don't know how to do it. See, look at this. This is something I didn't really thought about. I'm trying to press up, and I just scroll up through here. I tried going to the side and then up and left to get to the search option, and I guess that kind of works, but that shouldn't be the way that you need to do that. That should not be the way. So basically, I could search for a block here. The problem is I'm on a console, which means I'm typing it letter by letter, which isn't a good way to do it. So there are big problems there. I think the way to solve it is get rid of that inventory menu. Like give us a separate button to bring up the inventory if you want to have the inventory come up. It doesn't need to be up at the same time, and certainly not taking up more room. You could put it small in the corner, or maybe, you know, do a stretched out version lower down, but make this widescreen. This is a widescreen game. You're playing it on a TV. Make it widescreen and give us more tabs. Like, why not? I think the way they've arranged the tabs that they have is okay, but I think there's no reason reason to not give us more tabs and just to save us kind of going all over the place like that. So there are a few other things, like some of the orders do seem a little bit strange that they have with the ways that things are next to each other, like just for the way things are prioritized, like the fact that, you know, the top priorities are kind of cobblestone walls and mossy cobblestone walls, but things like colored wall and concrete are further down here, things you'd assume people are using. And I think that's the way that they've grouped things together. So another great example is over here. We have right at the top, we have glowstone dust, you know, which is way above things like, you know, water buckets and pistons and dispensers and minecarts, things that people are going to be using all of the time. And the reason is because they're grouped in a way which means that relevant things should be next to each other. So a very important thing people are going to be using a lot and should definitely be at the top is a torch. So they put the torch at the top and then they're like, right, we should put all of our lighting together. So they now got torch, redstone lamp, sea lantern, glowstone, and glowstone dust. But of course, you're going to be using a torch way more than you're going to be using sea lanterns and using glowstone dust. So it means that things that shouldn't be given too much priority, things like stone cutters, are put up higher than they probably should. I understand the logic behind it, but I think you should just go for an option where it makes sense, group things, but do the things that people are going to be grabbing more often. Just get them at the top just so they can go and easily grab them and people can go and scroll through and get the, you know, some of the more niche items a little bit later on if they need to go and scroll down. Because, I mean, the big way to solve this problem is to not need to scroll at all. Like, I think that if they made this menu just way wider and like more tabs, I think they could almost have an option where they don't need to scroll at all, because they have this category system, which is great. So all of the chests are kind of in here together. I think like the best examples are things like colored wall, where I'm like, right, I need wall. Let's go to the wall section. And then there's all of this colored wall. It just makes this menu so much neater. I think because they have that, if they added more tabs and just made this menu fill the screen, then you wouldn't need to scroll down at all. And I think that would actually be the best creative menu out of any of the different versions of Minecraft. Like, I think that is great. One of the other problems, I think, though, is the fact that when you grab an item, it doesn't always go down into your hotbar. Like, it can kind of just go into your inventory. So say if I wanted to give myself an iron sword, for example, I'd go and hit that. It would go down here, and then I'd need to go and scroll and grab it and then go and put it down here. I think that's all just a little bit too sluggish and slow, just because of the way that it is. So yeah, I think there's some kind of good points about the way it works in general. So I think the big thing is just to make it bigger, add more tabs, and then kind of the other recommendations I said, especially if you're playing on split screen or something. Imagine if you're playing on split screen or just far away from your TV. Like, you can make the whole like GUI bigger, like the whole menu system bigger, but that doesn't really solve the problems. It's not the fact that the menus are small, it's the fact that, you know, so much space is taken up by this, and then there's also just a bunch of edge around the side of the screen, even if you do make it bigger. So there also seems to be an issue where placing one block doesn't work. So see if I grab like a stack of iron, it says press X to place one, oh, I just wiped away everything, but oh no, okay, it does say, okay, so I guess you can place one up here, but you can't do it down in the hotbar, which is probably where you'd want to be placing it. So that needs to work. But that's actually quite another good demonstration of a correction, I guess, that I need to make. In the last video I did, I said that there wasn't a way just to clear all of your inventory. And it kind of just stands true. Like, there isn't a way to do it in one button. You kind of have to go to here, and then you have to scroll down over the hot select, and then you can clear hotbar. So it's kind of a little bit too slow. So I think they should make that so it's just one button press, but you can do that. So that's one of the good things. But as I said, there's a lot of potential in the creative menu. I think the way this category system works amazingly. I think if they brought that to the way that the creative menu is on the console edition, I think that would be kind of like a best of both way. I think that they need to fix the scrolling and stuff, but overall, the creative menu isn't too bad. The crafting menu, I think, has a few more different problems that I can go and demonstrate now. So let me go and just switch over to survival, which takes way too long because I've now got to scroll all the way up to the top to here. This is a great way just to kind of demonstrate just how slow some of these things are compared to how they'd be on console. But there we go. I'm now in survival mode, and so let's go and bring up the crafting menu. So I've here clicked on the crafting table. So what I noticed as well is that the first time you click on it, it's really slow. Now if I click it, it will be fast. But you see there's quite a big delay the first time time I did it. And I've noticed that with a few different actions you do in the game, the first time you do them is a little bit slow and then it gets quicker. I think it might be some of the way it's loading information into the memory or something. But yeah, that's something a little bit odd that I have noticed here. All right then, let's go and talk about it. So the big problem here is there's two different options that you have for crafting, and both of them aren't great, but in different ways. Okay, so in this one, this is everything that you can craft. So basically shows everything that is craftable. And there's some great things about that. The fact that I can go here and see everything that I'm able to craft based on everything that I have on my inventory. It's very easy to see exactly what you can and can't make. And I think even for a touchscreen or with a mouse, I think this would actually be an okay way to do things, because, you know, I could say, right, I want to make some ladders. I can come here and I can just see there's ladders. I could just tap on them. The problem with it, the major problem with it, is the fact that things aren't going to be in the same place every time. So depending on what items you have in your inventory, which could, you know, kind of completely change almost every time you play as you're kind of, you know, gathering different items and things, it means that you can't learn where items are. You can't say like, right, to make a sword, I need to go across 3 times, down once, and then I can make the iron sword or whatever it is. It's going to be different every time. So every single time you need to click on it, you have to go and search through to what you're trying to make and then scroll down to it. Like, say I want to make the shears, I need to go down and scroll to it like that. And it just means you can't get to the point where I am on the console edition, where I now know where almost everything is, and it's just muscle memory. I just load up the menu and I just instinctively go to it really, really fast. You can't do that. Sometimes maybe if, you know, say if I wanted to make a redstone torch, it's great, it's right there. But if I wanted to make something else down here, I'm looking for it, then having to scroll through. And it just means that you can't ever really get properly fast with the menu. Maybe it's going to be easier for newcomers to do it in this method. But I think for someone that's been playing the game for a long time, I don't think it's good. I don't think it's a great way to do it. And then the other method, which I think is even worse, is where it just shows everything that you can craft. I'd be amazed if anyone is actually using this version of the menu, because it basically just gives you like one like stupidly big list of all of the items that you kind of have to scroll the entire way through to be able to make them. It's just not really good in any way. It's slow. It doesn't feel like it's been designed for the use with a controller. And so, yeah, that's just basically not an option to be able to be used. So I think this is basically a case where I think that the console edition crafting pretty much got it almost perfect first time. I mean, they've been adjusting it and improving it. They've added things like the ways that you can craft banners and fireworks and stuff. I think that needs to be added in here. The way you die menus, I think in the console edition, I don't really like the dying menu. I don't really think that's an improvement from the way it was before, and it doesn't really matter so much in this version because the way you die things is different, so that's not too much of a big deal here. But I think that 4J pretty much got their crafting menu spot on first time. Like the fact that one of my biggest complaints with the console edition crafting menu is that crafting charcoal torches is above crafting coal torches just goes to show how good they got it first time, if that is kind of one of the bigger issues that I can think of it. So I think once again, almost the same thing. Get rid of the full inventory screen. We don't need that all here. Get much more tabs going along the top here like this, and I think something much closer to the console edition crafting menu works, because the crafting menu doesn't really seem that different to the console menu, and it just doesn't seem designed for a controller, and it just doesn't seem designed to be able to make you craft as fast as you want. And one of the big reasons why I always say why I've stuck to the console editions rather than moving over to something else is I feel like on the console versions, I'm in menus hardly ever. Like when I'm playing the game, I'm playing it, and then if I want to craft something, you know, like I'm kind of in and out, you know, I'm in the menu for a second, I've made it, and then I'm back out into playing the game. And I feel like in this method, I'm going to be doing a lot more of this, a lot more kind of scrolling around trying to get things, which isn't what I want to do. When I'm playing Minecraft, I want to be doing the actual playing part rather than spending too much time in all of the menus going around like that. So in conclusion, I think that there's a whole load of potential, especially in the creative menu, the way the category system works. I think if they made that wider and added more tabs, that could actually become the best creative menu. The crafting menu, I think, has a lot more problems. I think things like the host options need to be more accessible. All of the active menus, all of the menus that you might be using while kind of playing the game, they just need to be quicker to get to. Of course, the things I said about where you're struggling to get around the place like that, adding a cursor back into the menu. So there are quite a lot of little things, but I actually think that it's not too far off being a decent method for being able to control the game. It just needs to be tailor-made for a console with the use of a controller. I understand the want to make it very similar to the Pocket Edition and the Windows 10 version for people that are going to be jumping across the different versions. Oh yeah, my Love Garden lags this version as well, by the way, in case you're wondering. There's not even all of the signs here. There's none under the ground or anything. But yeah, that is a thing. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of potential. My only worry is that it looks like they want to release this version before the 3rd of October. Seems to be kind of almost their hard release date, because that's when the Minecraft Xbox is coming out, the special kind of themed Xbox One S. That is going to be coming with this version of the game packed in. So unless they're going to be releasing it with the beta or they delay the entire console, it looks like that might be the deadline. So hopefully that's enough time for them to get the old console menu into here, because I think that is a must, especially as they are continuing to support the other versions of the console edition, as I think they should. And then that will kind of give them time to improve the new versions of the menus, because with a little bit of tweaking, I think that they could actually be some pretty decent menus. But at the moment, there's kind of too many problems for me to kind of really consider using this version over the console edition. So yeah, if you are anyone from Mojang or Microsoft, hopefully you found this in some way constructive. Always feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Of course, you are game developers, and I'm not, so you probably know the answer to a lot of those questions more than me. But I reckon that I have probably played Minecraft with a controller more than any of the developers at Microsoft and Mojang, seeing as I'm playing it pretty much all day. So yeah, hopefully they would find that useful. Hopefully, if you're just tagging along and watching the video as well, you found this enjoyable. And let me know if you would like any more videos like this in the future. I think a big one I could do is talking about just the look and the feel of the game. To really go in depth about that, because after I've had a little bit more time with the beta, I'm kind of understanding the reason behind why there's things that I do and don't like. I'm understanding why I think the game almost looks more like a toy, rather than like a real place, and I'm also kind of learning a little bit more about why the feel of the game is so different. Just because I've spent a little bit more time on it, rather than saying I think it feels different, I kind of have more ideas about why it feels different now. So let me know if you would be interested in that. But for now, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all later. Bye!